Hey, what's up? It's Alex. Today, I'd like to look at the language used in this famous poem called After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. Let's take a look. My long two-pointed ladder's sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be two or three apples I didn't pick upon some bough. But I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night. The scent of apples I am drowsing off. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight I got from looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My InStep Arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall, for all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. This poem was written in the early 1900s, and the poet, of course, probably had a very different accent from mine, so I won't really talk about the way the words sound together. You can see that this is a pretty interesting poem in terms of rhyme. It doesn't always rhyme, and it has an interesting structure where sometimes you feel the rhythm of the words, and sometimes you feel that it's simply just speech, somebody talking to you. The poem is obviously about somebody who spent the whole day picking apples and is really tired and is about to go to sleep. And I read during some research that the interesting rhyme scheme and rhythm of this poem kind of mimics the strange thoughts that you have before you're about to fall asleep. Sometimes before you sleep, your mind is just going in and out of all these different thoughts, and it doesn't feel organized. And that's what reading this poem sometimes feels like. So now let's go through the poem a little bit and look at some interesting words that Robert Frost used here. My long two-pointed ladder's sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it. So here, my long two-pointed ladder. You can imagine a simple ladder. It's not the kind of ladder that looks like this. It's the kind of ladder that looks like this with crossbars, or he actually uses a specific word later on in the poem, describing the thing that you step on the ladder. And there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be two or three apples I didn't pick upon some bough. Bough here is an unusual and kind of an older literary word to mean the branch of a tree. Bough just means branch. So here the author is saying that there might be more apples to pick, and the barrel, a barrel is a big circular container for holding things like fruit, the barrel isn't full yet, but the author is finished with apple picking for sure. Even though there might be more, the job's done for the day. Essence of winter sleep is on the night. The scent of apples I am drowsing off. I am drowsing off. We don't really say that nowadays. We say I am drifting off, or I'm drowsy. Both mean that I'm sleepy, I'm about to sleep. But drowsing off is an unusual turn of phrase here. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. Normally, if you're tired, you might rub your eyes like this. And he's saying that he can't rub the strangeness from his sight, Because he has a particular memory. The memory is when he was looking through a pane of glass. And now he says glass here, but he actually means ice. That's a very classic metaphor. We know it's ice because he skimmed it. To skim means to pull something off the surface of water. I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough. A drinking trough is a big container of water for giving horses or cows water to drink in the field. And you can imagine at night, especially when it's close to autumn or winter, it's a cold morning, there's ice on the top of that water. So the author of the poem pulled off the glass or the ice from the top, and he looked through it. He held against the world of hoary grass. He held up the ice, and he looked through it to the world of hoary grass. Hoary is a word meaning kind of gray and white without color. So the grass, because it froze overnight, it's a hoary world of grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break. But I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell. So that's interesting because he is picking apples in the morning, right? But he is on his way to sleep before it fell. He's on his way to sleep. He's already tired in the morning. He's already tired at the beginning of his day, and then he picks apples all day. And I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of a russet showing clear. So perhaps he's been picking apples for several days, and he knows what he's going to dream about. He's going to dream about apples, right? And when you spend your whole day doing something, you kind of think about it right before going to sleep. And so he knows what form the dreaming is going to take, and that's going to be the shape of apples in his mind. Every fleck of a russet showing clear. Russet is a word meaning red in color. We normally don't use it to describe very many things, but we have a type of potato in America called russet potatoes that are kind of red and brown. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end. The stem is the thing on the top of the apple that has maybe a leaf or something, and the blossom is sometimes another part of the apple fruit, or just sometimes on the apple tree itself. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. So your instep arch is the part of your foot that's the bottom curving part of your foot. So he's saying, instead of just saying my foot, he's saying my instep arch, specifically talking about the part of your foot that hurts when you have to stand on a ladder for a long time. And it keeps the ache or the pain and the pressure of a ladder round. So he's in bed or he's very tired and he can still feel the ladder on his feet as if he's still on that ladder. And that's what I said earlier about how the part of the ladder that he is standing on, he uses a specific word for that called a ladder round. This isn't really a common word at all. When I grew up and every time I see a ladder, I don't think of this word, I just call it a step. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps on a ladder. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend. Boughs, of course, is the branches. The ladder is in the tree, so the ladder is kind of moving back and forth. The ladder is swaying as the boughs bend. And I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. I keep hearing from the cellar bin. The cellar bin might be another word that he's using for a barrel, the container of the apples. And he can still hear the sound all through his time when he wants to go to sleep. He can still hear that sound that he heard all day. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. Overtired is a great word here. Overtired means that you wanted to do something, and you did it, and you had fun, but now you're too tired. You're overtired from something that you wanted to do. So it sounds like the author wanted to pick apples. He wanted to go out and pick the apples from the tree, but now he's overtired. He had too much of that good thing. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall. There were 10,000. Of course, we don't really say that. We would say a million. But if you just say a million, it might even sound like there's not as many as if you chose to say 10,000. We can really imagine 1,000 apples might fill up a few barrels. 10,000 barrels, my goodness, that's a huge amount of apples, right? It's an exaggeration for the effect of the words, but you can really feel the weight of the number when he's saying that. Cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall, for all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap, as if of no worth. Cherish in hand, lift down. We normally lift something up, right? But lift down shows you how very, very careful he is being when he is picking the apples from the tree. Because he's saying that if the apple touches the ground, then he has to throw it away or use it for cider. He can't maybe use it for eating or for selling the way that he wanted to. So he uses the apples he treated carefully for one purpose, but if they touch the ground, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, so even if they don't have grass on them or dirt and they're not bruised, they still get thrown away. They went surely to the cider apple heap, as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. So here this just means that it's easy to understand how my sleep will be troubled, how I'll be thinking about apples my whole night. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. So here the sentence structure is a little bit interesting. He's saying, were he not gone, and who's he? Who he is the woodchuck, which is a little forest animal, the woodchuck. The woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep. So the woodchuck could say this if he wasn't gone. And where did he go? Well, the woodchuck's long sleep refers to little animals sleeping during the winter. They're hibernating. So that's a long sleep, right? It's much longer than a human's everyday sleep. Gone here means that the animal is sleeping. So if he wasn't already sleeping, he could tell me if my sleep tonight, I'm so tired, if this is going to be like his winter sleep, the long and beautiful sleep that an animal gets to have during the winter, or just some human sleep. He ends the poem in an interesting way. He uses the word sleep 3 times in just 5 lines, which is kind of a lot, but it's part of the effect that as we get toward the end of the poem, we hear the word sleep more and more, and it makes us think about finally ending the day and calming down and going to sleep.